The storm had raged for hours, tearing through the sky with howling winds and hammering waves. When silence finally fell, all that remained was wreckage and a single survivor. Daniel awoke on a narrow strip of sand, his clothes heavy with seawater, his head pounding. He barely remembered the ship going down, only flashes of lightning and the cries of passengers swallowed by the sea. Pushing himself upright, he surveyed his surroundings. A dense jungle loomed behind him, its trees swaying gently despite the storm's fury hours earlier. The island was small, ringed with rocky cliffs on one side and thick vegetation on the other. The wreckage of his ship was nowhere in sight. Daniel staggered inland, searching for fresh water. His throat was parched, his body weak. He followed the sound of trickling liquid to a small stream, dipping his hands into the cool water and drinking greedily. When his thirst was satisfied, he sat back, his mind finally catching up to reality. He was alone. At least he thought so until he heard a voice.
Hello?
Daniel whipped around. The jungle was empty. He held his breath.
Hello?
The voice came again, this time from the trees. But it wasn't quite right. It sounded hollow, as if it were repeating him. A chill ran down his spine.
Is someone there?
He called out.
Is someone there?
The voice echoed back. He took a step forward. The sound mimicked him exactly, down to the same intonation. It wasn't an ordinary echo. It was too precise, too alive. His heart pounded as he pressed deeper into the jungle, following the strange phenomenon. The trees thickened, vines curling around ancient stones, some shaped like ruins. He pushed aside a large leaf and gasped. Before him stood a massive stone arch, carved with unfamiliar symbols. At its center was a mirror-like surface, smooth, reflective, unnatural. Daniel approached cautiously. His own reflection stared back at him, but something was off. His reflection blinked slower than he did. He lifted a hand. His reflection did the same, but with a delay. Then, without him moving, his reflection smiled. Daniel stumbled backward, heart hammering.
Who are you?
He whispered. The reflection didn't echo him this time. It simply watched. Then it spoke in his exact voice.
You don't belong here.
Daniel's blood ran cold. He turned to run, but the jungle seemed denser, the path he'd taken now gone. Panic surged through him.
Where am I?
He demanded. The reflection stepped out of the arch. It moved towards him, not as a mere image, but as a solid, living thing.
The Island of Echoes.
Daniel backed away, but the figure kept advancing. It looked exactly like him, down to the salt-stained clothes and the cut on his forehead.
I don't understand.
Daniel said. The figure's smile widened.
You don't have to.
Then the world went black. When Daniel woke up, he was back on the beach. The jungle was silent, the strange stone arch nowhere in sight. His body ached, but something felt different. He stood up and dusted himself off. The island was empty, completely empty. No birds, no rustling leaves, no sound at all. Then, in the silence, he heard it, a voice whispering from the trees.
Who are you?
Daniel froze. The voice sounded exactly like him.